man. Mic check. These guys know how to get me out of retirement, man. I thought I was done posting for a little bit, but you know, I'm a sucker for a good joke. I'm a sucker for a good joke. Man, if you tell me a funny joke, I will laugh so loud, man. I will laugh so loud. There's this show on Netflix called Inside Job. And the father of this woman, he's a conspiracy theorist. And basically, this is like the shadow government, right? The shadow government, she works for the shadow government. And the father is trying to tell people about the shadow government, and of course, he's crazy, right? But the thing is, in this show, the shadow government actually exists. The shadow government actually exists. And in this is like the first 3 minutes of the show. I really encourage you to watch it on Netflix. She says, you can't tell people the Dow Jones is controlled by blood sacrifice. You can't tell people the Dow Jones is controlled by blood sacrifice. And then they sacrifice a goat. And they say shares of JP Morgan Chase up 14 points. Oh man. Isn't that funny? Isn't that just hilarious? The stock market is controlled by blood sacrifice is one of the jokes. And by the way, if you watch this show, they have a lot of jokes that are really hard to disprove. And they don't mention this one much. They just mention this in the first 3 minutes of the show, and they never mention it again. But man, and it's the finance department. Isn't this hilarious? The Dow Jones is controlled by blood sacrifice. Oh man. So this video is for parody and entertainment purposes only. Nothing in this video should be taken as fact. All people are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law by a jury of their peers. Proof. Proof. I'm going to give you proof. Yeah, this video is going to prove itself because I'm going to tell you an event that I can predict based on the information in this video. And if the event doesn't happen, then this was all BS. But if the event does happen, this was true. Does that sound fair? Give this video a like if that sounds fair. It sounds fair if I predict a really big event based on the information in this video, then I'm telling the truth. And if the event doesn't happen, then this is all BS. Does that sound fair? Give this video a like if that sounds fair. Proof. Austin Metcalf is a victim of ritual sacrifice to program the Trump head wound. Yes, Donald Trump is going to be wounded. And this event, this child had to die so that you would accept that Donald Trump would be wounded. By the way, FTXK3 is this person, Carmelo Anthony's Instagram handle. And it is a loose anagram with market crash. And the story was reported on the day, I believe this was the 5th largest Dow Jones single day drop. I think that's correct. So a pretty decent market crash, at least for one day, that this was reported. This is this man's Instagram handle, FTXK3. But we're going to get into the proof. The real, by the way, both of these young men are 17 years old. So, Austin Metcalf died at 17. Let's just try this one. Austin Metcalf died at 17. And this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cipher anagram with "You are my human sacrifice." To me, that's where the video could end. Austin Metcalf 17 is a 7-cipher anagram with "You are my human sacrifice." It doesn't work if he dies at 18. Doesn't work if he dies at 16. So what could be going on here is that someone sold Austin's soul before he was even born. Because if he doesn't die at 17, this doesn't work. He has to die at 17. Now remember this connection to the stock market. Austin Metcalf 17 is also a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cipher anagram with Satoshi Nakamoto Bitcoin. And it's a 7-cipher anagram with alien invasion. Now that's just Austin Metcalf's name. Now this is important to understand that the big psyop is the aliens coming. Now most people think aliens are silly, but you have to understand what they're going to tell you is there is a planet called Planet X, Planet Nibiru, and it is approaching the Earth. And it's by the sun. So as it approaches Earth, the gravity from Planet Nibiru and all the frequencies it sends out is what? Causing more airplane problems, which I predicted over a year ago, and it's causing more earthquakes. Now, we're not really going to get into earthquakes or airplanes in this video, but I've talked about how the major psyop, the next big thing, is the alien invasion. Austin Metcalf, say his name because you're saying the word alien invasion. Remember, it's called spelling and cursive for a reason. Austin Metcalf was allegedly stabbed by Carmelo Anthony. Well, that's an interesting name because it's the same as Carmelo Anthony, who played for the Syracuse Orange and was drafted by the Denver Nuggets, which is named after gold nuggets. So Bitcoin is digital gold. Its logo is orange like the Syracuse Orange. It's digital gold like the Denver Gold Nuggets. And he's stabbed by Carmelo Anthony. He dies at 17, which is an anagram with Satoshi Nakamoto Bitcoin. And once again, you are my human sacrifice. Okay? To me, the video could end here. We're going to keep going, though. Carmelo stabs like a jab or a vaccine Austin in the heart. And Austin wore number 25 when he played football. Well, that's interesting because Metcalf 25 equals Johnson & Johnson. In 7 ciphers again. So Metcalf 25, like the number he wore, equals Johnson & Johnson. Now, isn't that interesting? Because Johnson & Johnson, which was a stab or a jab, caused heart problems in children. Is this making sense? And these vaccines were rushed out during Operation Warp Speed. Well, wouldn't you know, Operation Warp Speed is a 6-cipher anagram with Carmelo stabs Austin. So this is a pretty clean, he's stabbed in the heart, he's a child, and Metcalf 25 equals Johnson & Johnson, whose stab or jab caused heart problems, and this he was stabbed by Carmelo. It has to be spelled perfectly. It has to be Carmelo and Austin, which is a 6-cipher anagram with Operation Warp Speed, the name of the operation that rushed out the Johnson & Johnson vaccines. Okay, pretty clean for someone who is an anagram with "You are my human sacrifice." Let's keep going though. Metcalf died of a heart stabbing weeks after a total lunar eclipse at Q Kendall Stadium. So Austin Metcalf 1-7, like he was 17, equals total eclipse of the heart. Total eclipse of the heart, like the song by Bonnie Tyler. And we had a, what? Where did he die? Q Kendall Stadium, which is a 7-cipher anagram, with total lunar eclipse. So he dies at Kuykendall Stadium, stabbed in the heart. He's an anagram with total eclipse of the heart. And the name of the place where he died is a 7-cipher anagram with total lunar eclipse. And we just had a total lunar eclipse a couple of weeks ago. So this is where it gets really freaky. This was the last post by FTXK3, who is Carmelo Anthony's Instagram handle, allegedly. He posts a song by ATM Danny called Gotta Have It. And the chorus of that song is, "Yeah, I gotta have it." This is an anagram with "let me get my shoes." And Donald Trump told Secret Service agents to let me get my shoes as they protected him on the ground in the immediate aftermath of the attempt on his life at a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania on Saturday. So this man, Carmelo Anthony, is being held in Collin County Jail, which is an anagram with Corey Comparator, who died at the Butler, Pennsylvania assassination attempt. The last thing he posted was a song by ATM Danny, whose chorus was "Yeah, I gotta have it," which is an anagram with "let me get my shoes," which Donald Trump said at this assassination attempt where Corey Comparator died, which is an anagram with where Carmelo Anthony is being held currently, which is an anagram with "Yeah, I gotta have it," which was the last thing Carmelo Anthony posted on Instagram. So this is predictive programming for a Trump assassination attempt. This is what's going to happen. Donald Trump is going to survive an assassination attempt. That is what this event is predictive programming. So if this event happens, then I am telling the truth. If this event doesn't happen, then I'm lying. It's BS. But remember, this is all for parody and entertainment purposes only. This is predictive programming for the Trump head wound. And we have more information on this. Operation Warp Speed and Carmelo Stabs Austin is an anagram with Revelation 13, which talks about the fatal wound that had been healed. One of the heads of the beast seemed to have had a fatal wound, but the fatal wound had been healed. So Donald Trump is the Antichrist. And just like Jesus Christ came back from the dead, Donald Trump is going to have a serious head wound. This is the script. This is the event you're being predictive programmed for. Donald Trump is going to have a serious head wound, but the fatal wound will be healed. Just like Jesus Christ came back from the dead, Donald Trump is going to come back from the dead. Remember, this is all for parody and entertainment purposes only. Revelation 13 talks about the fatal wound that had been healed. Let me get my shoes is an anagram with "Yeah, I gotta have it," which Donald Trump said, "Let me get my shoes," at a campaign rally where Corey Comparator died, which is an anagram with Collin County Jail, which is where Carmelo Anthony, who posted "Yeah, I gotta have it," before he stabbed Austin Metcalf in the heart. So Revelation 13 is also an anagram with Operation Warp Speed. And again, we have a cryptocurrency connection with Stellar Lumens XLM. So this event, which was an anagram with "You are my human sacrifice," which was an anagram with Johnson & Johnson and Operation Warp Speed, like how a child was jabbed in the heart, and the Johnson & Johnson vaccines caused heart problems. They were rushed out by Operation Warp Speed. You are going to see Donald Trump survive an assassination attempt, but it's not going to look like he's going to survive. He is going to have a fatal head wound. Okay, so this is what you are being predictive programmed for by a ritual sacrifice. So you might be saying, Puppy Trace, who's doing all this? If Austin Metcalf was stabbed by Carmelo Anthony, he had to be stabbed by Carmelo. And he had to die at 17, so it would equal total eclipse of the heart. And he had to die at Kuykendall Stadium after a total lunar eclipse, so it would be perfect. And he had to die at 17, so it would match with "You are my human sacrifice." And he had to be stabbed by someone who shared a name with Carmelo Anthony, who played for the Nuggets and the Orange, like the orange gold is Bitcoin, the digital gold. Who is doing all this? This must have been planned since the moment this child was born. Who is doing all this? Well, for parody and entertainment purposes only, I'll give you a hint.